Welcome to Game of Roses. I'm Chad Colchin, aka BachelorClues. Tonight, Lizzie is away on her 3-week wedding tour, but someone is here in her place. Another Liz. I am honored. I am humbled to be joined by Survivor Season 46 allergy and wrist IFI specialist. And you may not know this, Liz. IFI stands for injury, fear, or illness play. Just to let you know. She was also an unintentional Applebee's influencer, 4th place finisher, and the anti-fire starter, Liz Wilcox. Thank you for joining me.
What's up, friends? I am so honored and excited to be here. That was a great intro.
Oh, thank you very much.
Accidental Applebee's influencer in the house. What is up? Let's talk.
I love some Applebee's myself. It used to be a very sacred place to me as well. I know it was for you and your daughter. So it was just me and my old high school buddy that used to go pre-party there before we'd go out for a night of heavy drinking.
You know, I used to do that in college too. There was an Applebee's right in front of the Walmart.
Perfect.
And I worked at Walmart, and it would, after work, we'd be like, you want to go to Applebee's? Like,
hell yes.
2 for $1s or whatever the deal was back then. Nowadays they have the Dollarita. It was something similar. And it was like, it was like a pregame sort of thing before we took it to the dorms.
I knew somebody who worked at Applebee's in that age range for us when we were all that age. And the tales that she told were of nothing short of debauchery. The Apple Buddies, as they called themselves, the people who worked there got up to some things.
I love it.
Just to let you know. All right, we're about to recap Survivor Season 48, Episode 3, which has just aired. I believe what happened at the end of it was historic. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I ain't never seen no shit like that.
I mean, Dark Lord, we call, by the way, Liz, to let you know, we call all hosts of reality programs Dark Lords. So like the old Bachelor host was Dark Lord Harrison. The new one is Dark Lord Palmer. And because Dark Lord Jeff Probst is also a DLP, like Dark Lord Palmer, we actually call him Dark Lord Jeff, just to let you know.
Dark Lord Jeff.
Yes.
That's very fitting. If you met him in real life, he is like the Dark Lord himself of Survivor.
Yes.
Even, I'm getting way ahead of myself, but at Tribal tonight, he was salivating. I mean, you could tell he was trying not to laugh. He even said, I'm going to do something I never done and interrupt this. Let's just get to the vote. He had enough of them.
Yes. And this is why we call them Dark Lords. We got it originally from Chris Harrison on The Bachelor because he took such open pleasure in delivering suffering onto the players of The Bachelor. And now I've kind of recognized that that's just a trait of all the people who host these shows, especially the ones that have been on since the early 2000s.
Right. When I, was not granted Applebee's going with the theme, he was like, oh, his nipples were hard, He was, I don't know if that's true, but
it is. It 100% is.
The way he was so far away, I couldn't see his nipples, but he was so like, yes, I've been waiting 10 years for another moment like this. Somebody give this casting director a raise. Like he was so into it.
I mean, I think they cling at a certain point. He's done 48 seasons of the show. Chris Harrison at the time had done a combined, I believe, 45 before he got fired from that show. But I think like you just see the churn. You see so many players come through. You find the smallest things to take pleasure in, and it always winds up being when somebody is in duress. That's what it feels like to me with these Dark Lords.
I would say that is correct.
Okay, great. Well, let's jump into this. This is, again, episode 3 of Survivor Season 48. It begins on night 5. Vula tribe is slinking back to their camp after the shocking elimination that rid the game of frontrunner Kevin, which still to me is kind of hard to believe. I thought he was going to be around for a while.
See, I would have voted Kevin out too. He was playing too hard, too fast. You can't show how smart you are that early in the game. It has to come, especially Survivor's 26 days now. You really got to play super close to the chest if you want to make it to merge, especially, you lost 2 times in a row. Is that correct? Yeah. So you can play that game later, just kind of lay low if you can.
Yeah. No, I agree. Traders is like that. Any kind of group psychosocial dynamics game, I think, requires you to lay low for at least the first half of it. Unless you're forced to act to save yourself, then you got no real choice. But at any rate, we see Mary basically saying in an ITMs, by the way, are when you guys have to like sit down and direct address a camera with a producer sitting next to it, as opposed to the conversations you're actually having on camera with other players. So just for reference, when I say ITM, that's what that means. It's the little confessional thing. So Mary says in an ITM that she feels like she's been at the bottom since the beginning of the game. She's now just proud of herself for being there. And she ITMs that nobody is telling her the truth. Say then tells the other Vulas that the trust was broken. She ITMs she's now wary of Cedric and Justin because they got her to play her idol unnecessarily. Now she's looking for another idol to combat a possible future betrayal from Justin and Cedric. Day 6. Siva tribe. We get our first weight loss conversation. David is wondering how much strength he might lose on the Survivor diet.
Shut up. Just shut up, bro. I was like, literally, it's day 5 or 6 or whatever. I was like, yeah, you have no idea, bro. No, like you are not even hungry yet.
Yeah. Now, I watched a bunch of your highlights. I mean, I must confess, I haven't seen the show in a long time. And our recap of this is me kind of getting back into it. But I watched a bunch of your highlights. And you said that you didn't eat for the first week or so. And you didn't use the facilities for 18 days. Is that accurate?
It's not accurate. It was 22 days on day 22, I finally went number 2, but I did not go the last day before the game. So it was actually 23 days of not using the restroom, so to speak. Not that there's a restroom out there, but you know what I'm saying.
A hole. So you have to
but whatever. Yeah, I would say for my personal journey, like if I'm being liberal, I probably ate about or less than 3,000 calories. If I'm being more realistic, it was probably about 2,000 calories in 25 days. So what? David, you and your 4 nipples can sit down because you are in for a real treat, brah.
Yeah. I mean, this isn't the same dude who's doing like chin-ups on a tree branch a day before.
I'm saying, right. He's just wasting calories. Meanwhile, I was like, a bump on a log. Anytime I had to move, I was like calculating, is it worth it?
Conserving the energy. Well, Camilla here ITMs that Dave is a Chad, and David then ITMs that people are impressed with him physically when they first meet him, but they don't know his dark secrets. And he explains to Kyle that he lives in a trailer park in front of his dad's house. He ITMs what we call a PTC in the Bachelor world. That is a personal tragedy card. It's a play that anyone can make in any reality show, really. But he plays his here. It's a money issues PTC. And he explains his dream is to start a family, but he doesn't have the money to do it. And he further explains then that his 32-year-old girlfriend doubts if he can give her the 4 kids she demands because he is not financially prepared to sire 4 of them. And he ITMs tears here.
Yeah, listen, David, if you're listening, holler at me. I'm looking for a house husband. Oh, nice. I used to live in an RV. I traveled around for 4 years. You can come park your trailer anytime, bro. I don't need any money. If you're into the stepdad thing, I already got a kid. I don't need 3 more. So like holler at me.
Perfect. Maybe we'll make a love connection here through Game of Roses. Then we cut to a shot of some birds swarming overhead. I give out a Creature of the Week award every week. These birds were not my Creature of the Week. Day 6, Loggy Tribe. Some Loggies are complaining about having no energy, but Joe is not one of them. He's using the tools they won in the challenge from last week to make, in his words, a big old bonfire. And he's digging holes, putting stumps in the holes, nailing these trees together. And I wondered, is that a smart move to use the nails you were given in your toolkit on a bonfire?
I mean, I guess once the fire burns, the nails will still be there, right? Yeah,
you have to sift through the ashes.
They give you this kit. We also won it, and it was helpful. But honestly, they give you so many nails that we use the nails as like we put them in the trees, and then we hung our bags on them. Okay. So I think they have excess nails probably. But I was thinking, Joe, save it for the challenge, bro. Like, what are you doing?
No, totally. The dude is lugging around logs like the Incredible Hulk, just putting them up by himself while the entire rest of the tribe is just sitting there watching him like, what is this dude doing?
Right.
But is it a case of like, this is only day 6 and we're just starting to get these first conversations about how not eating might be shedding muscle or whatever? Are people at that point thinking that far in advance about trying to conserve energy and stuff?
I think they are, but you still have reserves. And so it doesn't feel as serious. And you think, oh, the rice is going to come on day 16 or whatever.
Right.
So, we've got 10 days. We're going to win something. And this tribe specifically has won both immunity challenges. So they're probably thinking, even if we get second place, we're probably going to get something to eat soon. But for me with the bonfire, I think it was smart for a morale thing because at this point in the game, especially I was in a similar position where we were winning over and over. There were some members of the tribe that were getting a little stir crazy. They were bored. And I'm like, how can you be bored on Survivor? There's so much shit to talk, like, what are you, like, huh? But there were several people that were, oh, I'm bored. I wish we were going to a challenge. I wish is there a boat coming today? Something. But for me, I was like, let's rest. Let's build bonds. So when I saw Joe building the bonfire, I was like, this is the guy on the tribe that is bored to tears. He's so he's a firefighter. He's got kids. He's got a wife. He's probably used to going. So he's probably dying of boredom. And so this is his way of combating that while trying to build some bonds. So shout out Joe.
All right, fair enough. So it was a good play. We then see Shaheen ITMing that Joe is his number 1 for his sense of humor. And he reminds us that Thomas is also in his 3-man California Girls Alliance. And Bianca is part of a possible alliance expansion with Thomas. And Eva is part of a possible alliance expansion with Joe. And I have just written this note for myself. The math of this is dizzying. And my question is, are you constantly, when you're on Survivor, keeping like these algebra equations in your head of what might happen and the possibilities and who's in an alliance or might be in another one?
Yeah, I think you have to, right? But the key is to not get super paranoid about it. And I feel like, Shaheen has a good grasp on these are the numbers. This is that algebra equation, but he didn't seem too upset. He was like, but, I'm weary of Joe and Eva. I'm going to keep an eye on that. Maybe that's the way to go. So I liked his attitude about it versus he could have been like, well, I don't like that. And right in front of, Thomas was like right in front of us, the bracelet, she's got to go. He's a little bit more, slightly paranoid about it. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, you're constantly running those numbers. But I know from my personal experience, I just, I thought about the numbers. I just took it face value because if you try to think too deep into it, that's when you, pull a Kevin and you start thinking too much. You start trying to, wheel and deal, and then you're out of there.
Totally. It's like Kevin too, though, I think got to a place where he was, at least in his ITMs, being like, I'm controlling the whole island. It was like the mania set in of success, at least in those initial phases. And then it's like, once you think you're on top, you're gone. They cut you off at the knees every time.
Right. That's how I went into fire. I was like, oh, I've got this. Everyone thinks I'm a goon, but the people on my tribe are on the jury. That means they're going to remember I'm not a goon. Oh, I'm so good. And I started, telling people, oh yeah, I can't wait for final tribal. And they're like, what? You can't wait? Something's off. And then I went and I was like, yeah, almost there.
It was so close. Let me ask you this. This next thing that we see is Eva makes this little bracelet for Joe and says, here, this is for your daughter. Now, it's kind of seen, or it's presented as a good play until Thomas is like, that made me nervous. We got to get rid of her. Is making these kind of like personal gifts, strengthening a personal bond with one person publicly in front of the rest of your tribe, especially this early, is that a good idea or a bad idea?
Yeah, bad idea, sis. Hate to break it to you. Yeah, I would look at that and think, oh, she's obsessed with him. He's got her wrapped around his finger. And I would be thinking like Thomas, one thing in my season, I was very close with Tevin and Hunter pre-merge. And then I started seeing them kind of go off with other players. And
Yeah.
There was one thing I said, well, I'll go tell those other players. And they said, no, we got it. And that was like, And so the same thing with Eva and Thomas. It was like, why did she do that? Oh, because she's closer to him than I am. He's supposed to be my California girl. This, what has got to go. So I think it was a bad move. She should have done it in private. It would have solidified a lot for Joe, that guilt he already has of I've made this promise to her on day one. It would have solidified that for her, and no one else had to have known that.
Yeah, no, I totally agreed. I thought as soon as she was doing it, I was like, what are you doing? You just put a spotlight on yourself. Period. And it's like, if anybody disagrees with this, they're going to be gunning for you. But it seems to not matter because that team never loses. The second portion of the show then begins. It's night, aka day 7 for Vula tribe. The Vulas are waking up in the early morning, and Mary's ITMing that after an idol is played, it's usually replaced. But she hates looking for stuff, but she has no choice. So she's out in the jungle foraging, and Say is also looking, and she says out loud she would not tell Mary if she would find the idol. She's ITMing that she has to find it before Mary. Her strategy is always to basically just be 1 foot behind Mary. It's like tracking her through the jungle. Is this kind of like idol search sabotage part of every season pretty much? Like, can you just openly say, I'm going to stop you from finding that idol?
Nah, that's such trash behavior. I mean, I get it, right? Yeah. Like, you don't want her to, but in season 47 and now season 48, the audacity, these people just following like a tail on a dog. Oh, there would have been fights on my season about that. Like, you got to have some level of, I don't know, respect for your fellow player to at least, follow 10 paces behind. For me, I look at that as, Say, being so disrespectful to Mary. But then the other side of me is like, well, it's a game, Liz. Who cares about respect? But you care about respect at the end of the game. Right. So if Say and Mary both make it, one of them is on the jury and one of them is like, well, back in the day, you didn't respect me when I was looking, da, 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 da. Luckily, the two of them seem to have a weird level of respect for each other. But I definitely know in season 47, it went the opposite way, where this guy Saul was so mad at the guy tailing him, Rome, and it blew up in Rome's face. So it doesn't seem like it's going to blow up in Say's face. But I tell you what, if that would have been me, I probably would have had some words. I would have been pissed, so to speak.
Fair enough. We then see Siva tribe day 7. They're boiling their clothes and hanging them up to dry. And Mitch is ITM, and he thinks their tribe is firing on all cylinders. He tells the other Sivas that he's proud of them for winning their tools. And he ITMs that he wants to go deep with everybody, but he really likes Charity. So he's kind of setting up this Mitch and Charity dynamic duo. And then they're strategizing about who they should bring to the merge, Kyle and David. And Charity says, yes, they're great shields. Then Mitch and Kyle are out in the boat. They flip their boat in the sea. I thought that was kind of a funny moment. It's always good to see when people kind of like just screw up the basic stuff for comedy relief. But they're talking strategy. And Mitch tells Kyle that he wants to go deep with Kyle and Charity. Kyle ITMs that he loves hearing the strategy because he's already in an alliance with David, Chrissy, and Camilla. But now he has the option of maybe Charity and Mitch, plus David is in there now. He's got 2 possible alliances, and he has an idol in his back pocket. He's sitting pretty. How important do you think it is for anybody in this game to have like these multiple mathematical combinations for alliances that you can pivot to if necessary?
I think it's important in this 26-day game. And as we see later in this episode, a lot of Survivor is luck, right?
Oh my God, that drove me insane.
And that was something I said all the time to my tribe. Yeah. I was like, nothing but luck, nothing but luck. Yeah. My opening, they didn't show this, but my opening ITM was, I'm going to win Survivor because I'm the luckiest bitch I know. And I was like, it's nothing but luck. And I don't chase, I attract luck. And I would say that all 25 days, and well, maybe 24. And, so for this, it is important to answer Chad's question of like having those multiple pathways, because like we see at the end of this episode, somebody might get a little unlucky and that might have been your number one. And now you need this new avenue. So I think Kyle, where the last couple episodes, I'm like, yeah, I found an idol, but he's not, you know, is the story going to go anywhere? I'm thinking, oh, maybe Kyle is this switch hitter, so to speak. And he's now suddenly in this power position, and he's going to be able to, whether, you know, Mitch gets lucky or somebody on the other side gets lucky, he's going to be able to decide and pivot. So I think that's super good and very important in this game.
Yeah, it seemed like it was to me too. I mean, the luck thing aside, and we'll get to that stupid journey challenge. I hate arbitrary results in games like this where like, oh, it doesn't matter. Skill is completely irrelevant. Nonetheless, when Kyle is setting these things up, I was like, okay, he's got basically 3 paths to go to. And it could be that like some kind of arbitrary bad luck forces his hand that way. Could also just be like 2 players start to hate each other or something, and he's got to eject from an alliance or make another one. It seems like he has it set up pretty well. We then see Day 7 Loggy Tribe. Eva is asking Star to go frond hunting, and she has this little conversation with Star about, hopefully I can get her to tell me the truth or a lie. I'll at least know one way or another if she's being truthful with me. But she does play her autism PTC here, saying that it makes it tough for her to sometimes discern signs of deceit. And Eva asks her straight up, knowing that she has the idol, hey, did you find the idol? And Star's like, no, I found nothing at all. But even knows she has it. And one of the things that I really love about Survivor is like when people are just lying to each other, like straight to the face, and we get to see that. It's so damn funny to me.
Yeah, I actually thought, I mean, if I was in Eva's position, this is actually a smart move, because she does tell us, I have a really hard time discerning lies. And she knows the truth. So she's going to be able to know with certainty Star is lying or Star is telling the truth. So she might be able to analyze, oh, when Star tells the truth, it looks like this. Yeah. Or when Star lies, it looks like this. So at least now she's got one player pegged, and she might be able to take that information and apply it to other players. Yeah. Now, this is Survivor, though. So obviously, it's also a dumb move, because Star immediately goes and tells other people, right?
Yep. So maybe immediately goes to Bianca.
It just goes to show, and this goes back to episode 1 with Stephanie getting voted out, that, you know, and we talked about this just a few minutes ago, like you want to lay low, but not too low. You have to make connections with every single person, at least a little bit, or they're going to get suspicious when you finally start to talk game, right?
Yeah. They also bring up here who they might have to get rid of, or which person would be the best to get rid of if they do have to go to tribal council. And they start kind of breaking down the idea that some people are puzzlers and some people are, as they call them, jacked people. I assume these are like, you know, the physical brutes, the behemoths that can just like crawl over shit and tear down trees with their bare hands. Do they like the idea that a player has to be one of these things, a puzzler or a jacked person? Is that kind of common in this game, that you'll just be like fit into one of those categories, even if you have skills in both areas?
Yeah, and I didn't fit into any of those. I suck at puzzles. I am the opposite of jacked. Jilled, if you will. Okay. And so that was something going on the island. I was like, okay, well, how can I make bonds anyway? Yeah. And part of my kind of Survivor lore is I lied about being a millionaire. And part of that was because I knew I couldn't blend in as, oh, she's good at puzzles, or, oh, she's super fit. Let's keep her. Cause those are the 2 things you kind of want to keep, right? Sure. I want to keep the guys that are good at puzzles. I want to keep the jacked people. But I thought, well, if I lie about being a millionaire, people are like, well, I'm never going to vote for her at the end, so I'm going to keep her. Right. And maybe like Star and Eva were talking about, maybe we can get rid of one of those puzzlers, but I'm definitely keeping that weirdo Liz. Like there's, you know, and I did have a great social game. People liked me, you know. Absolutely. You can kind of tell like I'm fun, but I also, you know, can speak well. And so people are like, she's kind of off, but I know I would never vote for her at the end. And so that was part of the reason I made up that tall tale, right?
Interesting.
And so, yes, to answer Chad's question, it is kind of important. Like, I want to be a puzzler, but I don't want to be the puzzler, right? I want to be jacked, but I don't want to be so jacked that everyone's looking at me. But I did find it funny they called them puzzlers. I've never heard that term.
Yeah. I mean, it's weird as we're getting into this era of what we call it third wave reality television. Third wave shows are like Traitors, House of Villains, Special Forces, World's Toughest Test, where they cast it with people from different reality disciplines and put them against each other in some kind of game. And you see these categories of player get like really weeded out, and they are given names. Like on Traitors, you're a gamer or a Bravo or housewife,
right?
Or you're from a love show, you know? And I think as we kind of move into this era of mixed martial arts in reality television, it's like these pure disciplines are kind of being established. But I think Traitors is going to force the hand of like real reality TV mixed martial artists who kind of have to be good at all of it. You've got to be emotionally manipulative. You've got to be smart at the puzzles. You've got to have some kind of physical endurance. Traitors requires all of that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if we're going to get to the journey soon, but I loved it because I suck at puzzles. So I was like, I would have loved to roll some dice. Let's go.
It takes away any responsibility you have in doing well. So
right.
like, whatever.
I'm like, I'm a lucky bitch. I'll roll those claims or whatever.
Well, before we get to that, we do have in the third portion, the challenge, the immunity challenge. Dark Lord Jeff welcomes all three tribes. And immediately, I'm struck by Dark Lord Jeff's vascularity. This man is 63 years old. Veins are popping out of his arms in the kind of harsh sunlight of the island there. And he's standing. I don't know if you saw this. He's standing kind of like this, kind of like a gym bro stands in the gym to like look bigger than he is. And I don't know if this is true, but it seemed to me like it was. He is threatened by Dave. Am I wrong?
The four-nipple guy?
Yeah, the four-nipple guy.
Maybe, I don't know. I mean, we all have egos, right?
Yes.
I didn't pick up on that, but I love that theory.
I'm analyzing everything he does.
He definitely reacts to different players. My experience was that anytime he interacted with me, it was like his defense was up. And he later told me, I just didn't know where you were coming from.
Yes. It's like Carolyn was like that too.
Yeah. He said, Liz, Charlie plays second base. He's at tribal. He's second baseman. He's at a challenge. He's second baseman. I'm hearing, his strategy, second base. He said, sometimes you were the pitcher. Sometimes you were the catcher. Sometimes you were out in left field. He said, I never knew what was coming out of your mouth.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that makes sense. Our interactions then. So maybe there is something, maybe it's David, maybe it's, maybe it's Eva. She's a hockey player. I don't know. Maybe there's something that's like, or maybe it was even them coming in, hustling, right? And he can hear them as they're walking up, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure the camera's already on him, and then there's cameras coming up on the tribe, and the tribe is hooting and hollering. Maybe he's like, I need to appear bigger too.
Yeah, he's feeding off the energy like a vampire.
He totally feeds off. I mean,
the dude's 63 and he's jumping. He's like diving into the sand. He's screaming at, this is Survivor. You wanted Survivor. You got it. This man's 63 years old. What's going on here? Like, he's my favorite part of the show by far. Yeah, of course.
He loves Survivor. That is one thing, I know there's a lot of critiques on Jeff, but the coolest thing about being out there and even watching the show is like, this guy is more into it than any super fan could ever be. There was something I just saw. I didn't even notice it from episode 2 where he's running in the sand and he falls and he almost hits his head on part of the challenge. And I'm like, that's how you do it on Survivor. All right, Jeff. He's so into it. It's like, it's so cool to see.
Has he ever played? Have they ever done that?
No, he said that he would be first boot. He would suck at the game. He just loves it. He really is the ultimate super fan.
I would love to see a Survivor season of all the hosts of reality TV shows. I would
watch that for sure.
Oh God, absolutely.
My money's on Alan from Traitors.
You think Alan Cumming would survive this? My money's on Jeff Probst. That dude is Survivor. I think that's physically, true. It's like who could even come close to him physically?
physically, but I mean,
Jesse Palmer,
physical
maybe.
threats go out at the merge, right?
That's true.
I think
That's true.
Jeff would go out probably first because he'd be so annoying. He would be like a Kevin. Not that Kevin was annoying, but he would be,
he knows too much.
wheeling and dealing and scheming and run, or he would just be so paranoid he might quit. He might not be able to hang. He's like, I need my vape. I don't know.
Does he vape a lot?
No, but there was a season where a girl quit on the first tribal because she was like, I just want a pillow and a vape.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense to me. That's like Tara Reid in Special Forces World's Toughest Test. She came into that and they found packs of cigarettes stowed away in her clothes. And they were like, what are you doing? You can't have cigarettes. And so she left.
2005 of her.
Well, this happened last year. But we move on. This challenge is, it requires one person from each tribe to be a caller and kind of guide all the other members of their tribe blindfolded to these 3 bags. Each contains a key. The keys are then used to unlock a puzzle. Then the caller has to guide all of the players to slide the puzzle around. As Jeff puts it, Dark Lord Jeff puts it, you got to know how to do a slide puzzle. So these players, some of them do. Of course, immunity's up for grabs, and the losers are going to lose their flint. Siva and Logie have to sit out 2 players to match Vula's now decimated numbers. And the players who sat out last week cannot sit again. So Logie sits out, Eva and Bianca. Siva sits out Kyle and Charity. And this is like, you get a shot right here of where Dark Lord Jeff is the most vascular. And then we see them go through this challenge. These challenges to me are like, again, I haven't seen this show since season 2. Those challenges used to be like, stand on the stump for as long as you can. And that's it. These are so complex and they have so many moving parts. It's hard for me to follow them sometimes, but I managed.
Yeah, it was a lot, but that's funny you say that because I thought, wow, this challenge is so old school. So it was probably like, I don't know. I'm not a super fan, and I haven't even seen every season of Survivor. Okay. But it reminded me of, I don't know, maybe 10 to 15 years ago, they would do a lot of blindfold challenges where it was just brutal on your body. Like they know, they were doing it because they were going to get injured and that gets ratings, right? So that was what it felt like to me. But yeah, they added the puzzle at the end. But I loved that it was still the caller making the person do the slide puzzle blindfolded. I thought that was really, really fun. I would have loved to have done that challenge. It was really cool.
Awesome. My favorite part of this challenge was where Joe, like you could see him clocking. He's like, I'm going to go first. That's the tower I need to get to. And he just kind of commits a pattern to memory, puts the blindfold on, and basically sprints blindfolded straight to the key. And I was like, it almost got my play of the game. But not quite. Something happened at Tribal Council that took that cake. Right. But I was so stunned by the fact that he basically kind of nullified the blindfold portion, at least in that beginning thing. Like he probably bought his team an extra minute or 2 just by doing that. And I thought that was just like outstanding.
Yeah, that was super smart. My daughter, I watched with my 10-year-old, and she was like, how is he doing that? He must be able to see. I said, he must have just said, if I could get a running start, let me just memorize this, just like Chad said, and, hope for the best. That was super, super savvy of him. And if I was on, if I was on the bench watching, I would be scared of Joe. I would be going back to my tribe and be like, did you see that? Like the strategy of that, like if he makes it to the merge, not only is he, one of those jacked people, he's also smart. Oh, he gotta go.
Yeah. In Big Brother, they're called comp beasts or competition beasts because they just dominate whatever the challenge is. They like try to win that every time. He seems like somebody who could possibly do that.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, he does help his team win. Logie wins first place. Siva wins second. And again, Vula is further disrespected, going to Tribal Council once again. And I had this question. Is this common? Like the first team that starts shedding players, do they just, that's it? It's a downward spiral till the end?
It's more common in the new era of Survivor. So 41 and up. It happened on 46, which is my season. Yeah. And I was really, really rooting for them to win. I was screaming at my TV, no, not again. No, I know you're starving, but come on. and this is a major criticism of the new era of, if one tribe, if they lose 2, they're going to lose 3, 4, whatever, because they don't have flint. I can't imagine not having fire, even because for me, I can't eat coconut. So I wasn't eating coconut. So we were catching a lot of crab at the beginning, and that's what I was eating, right?
Just raw?
No, because we had fire. So we were roasting them or boiling them.
Oh,
now,
God.
This green team, I can't remember the damn tribe names, right? They can't even catch crabs because they have no fire. They're not going to eat them raw. I ain't going home on no stomach issues. That's punk shit, like I'm just going to starve. Right. And I remember on my season, Yanu was the one that kept losing. And when we got to the merge, they were like, yeah, we were having to take coconuts and, crack them over rocks because we didn't have the machete for 3 days. And, we didn't have fire at night. And y'all, they film in the winter, and I know it looks hot, but at night when the sun goes down and you're on the water, you imagine the winds. My Florida ass was freezing. I slept on that fire so many times. I got set on fire so many times because I was so cold. I had a rock that looked like a book, and I would put it in the fire, and then I would take it out and put it in between my legs or in between my shirt and my sweater. I called it my rock levy. It was cold at night. Yeah. And so you think they're shivering, that burns calories. Like they're just freaking, it's like, put me out to dry. I'm done.
Well, unfortunately, Vula does not get their flint, so they are fireless once again. But Dark Lord Jeff does say, before you all go, Log E1, you get to decide the 3 people that are going to go on this journey challenge. Loggy decides it's going to be Bianca from their tribe. Justin, the pizza man, is going from Vula, and Camilla is going for Siva. Dark Lord Jeff reminds Vula again, I'm keeping your flint, and you've got to vote somebody out. And then we see this portion 4 begins with this beautiful slow motion shot of an island bird soaring high on the warm winds. And this was my creature of the week. There weren't a lot of creatures this week. There were just a couple of bird shots. Usually you get a spider, something like this, a serpent.
Right. Bats were very popular in season 47. Our theme was like geckos, so we saw those a lot. So solid pick, I think, for this episode.
Didn't have much of a choice. Like I'm waiting for some creature to kind of emerge and become the identity of the
shark. Season. Yeah, give us a shark. Something. Like that.
Yeah, crabs. I don't know. We'll see. But this bird got mine this week.
Well, you don't have to give me crabs, but you can give Chad crabs.
That's on Bachelor in Paradise, or at least it used to be. It was crabs everywhere all the time.
Period.
We see Vula, day 7. Cedric, Mary, and Say return to camp dejected. Mary ITMs that she's fine with being at the bottom because it's the only place to go from here is up. She wants to seem cool. She doesn't think she can find an idol, so she's going to pretend like she found one. The cool as a cucumber strategy. Does this ever work?
I think sometimes it does. Because back to what we talked about 10 minutes ago, some people get so paranoid. Yeah. And if you can stay calm in the storm, and I feel like this was a strength of mine too. I would constantly say to the camera, everyone's hitting the panic button, but I don't even know where that is. I'm just going to, I heard my name, but that doesn't mean I'm going home. I'm staying chill, because the second, I start panicking, it confirms what they already think of me.
Right.
So instead of Mary freaking out, she's the one to go. She stays calm, and it gets Say thinking something else. It gets her making another plan. So I think it absolutely works.
Interesting. I mean, we saw what we saw in the tribal council, but at least in this little segment, you see Say going off to talk to Cedric and being like, I think she may have the idol. I don't know. What are we going to do? I don't know. And she does start to float the idea that they might have to pick Justin off, but they don't know what's going on in the journey challenge at this point. So we see that little conversation comes to an end, and we then see Justin, Camilla, and Bianca on their journey. And Bianca's like, journeys don't usually end well. you either usually lose your vote or eat a sandwich, and that's about as good as it gets. I thought that was a funny line. And so they come to this beach, and there's a sign that directs them each to go off, and they come to these what are described by Justin as giant Yahtzee games. And we get this thing where their votes are at risk. You have to roll these 7 dice. If you get 4 flames, that's good. 4 skulls is bad. 4 flames earns you an extra vote. 4 skulls, you lose your vote. Keep rolling until you get 4 of one thing cumulatively. So it's literally a coin flip, a 50-50, just like, who cares?
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Yeah. So as a player, would have loved it. I suck at puzzles. By day 7, my memories are getting a little hazy. Mm-hmm. As a viewer, wrong. Try again. Yeah. It wasn't very exciting to watch, a little bit, right? Like we want them to get their vote. Well, I want them to get their vote.
Of course.
But I did find it odd because I feel like in the last couple seasons, Survivor has been kind of listening to the fans and doing less of that chance things and not making people lose their vote as often. So I was surprised that it was like 50-50, you're going to lose your vote. Yeah. Because that sucks. In a tribe of, 6, 4, whatever, it would suck to lose your vote.
Of course.
And that was something I went on a journey on day 7 and we had to pull cards to see who could play. And one person was not going to play. And I was praying. I was like, I don't even want to play. I don't want to lose my vote because I know I'm going to lose the game because I suck at it.
Right.
Like, if it's something savvy, I might win it. If it's a puzzle, I'm fitting to lose. Yeah. So I was saying, like, I don't even want to play. And the producers were like, oh, you got to play. And I pulled the card where I didn't have to play. And I was like, good luck, boys. And I was so happy that I didn't have to play. So, Dark Lord Jeff, if you are listening, please. It's not fun for us to watch people lose their vote. We like the votes. We want you to read all the votes.
I don't even mind the people losing their votes as like a punishment for losing, and getting 2 votes as a reward for winning, I thought was great. But like, narratively speaking, I don't know if you watched Beast Games at all on Amazon, the Mr. Beast reality competition show. It felt very much like that, which is the outcome of this is arbitrary. And so narratively, it teaches me nothing new about any of these players. And that's really what you're watching the show for, is like, what decisions will they make? Will they be able to overcome some kind of an obstacle? Will they dominate? This is just like 3 people rolling. I don't care. I just don't care about any of this.
Yeah, it could have been a very short segment. I do love that point. And that was something that I loved about episode 1, the way they changed up the sweat versus savvy, because we found, I forget who was it Kyle broke his glass. So he was out of the challenge and he helped the other player finish. And we learned, wow, Kyle's really quick on his feet.
Yeah, that was my play of the game.
Like, this guy, I want to see more of what he's going to do. So I love that point.
No, I thought it was brilliant because it was such a, like, he's taking this moment that by all measure seems disastrous. He literally broke the thing he's trying to fill up with water, but he looks at that moment and he says, how can I turn this into a benefit for me? I'm going to go help that guy, because after the merge or at any point in this game where that guy might be able to help me out, he'll remember this. He's currying favor for some future thing in the game, writing a check that he may get to cash later. Unfortunately, that dude also got kicked out of the game. So it was like wasted, but he didn't know that at the time.
Right.
So we basically see here that it is Camilla wins. She gets 3 skulls and 1 flame. Then she rolls 1 flame. Then she rolls 2 flames. They're trying to build this like drama during the rolls. And you're just like, I don't care.
It was not
Show
working.
me a spreadsheet of who won. I don't care. Justin gets too many skulls, and who else got 2 skulls? It was Camilla wins and Bianca loses. Bianca loses, Camilla wins, Justin loses. So they all then have to go back to their tribes in portion 5. Say, here's what happened. And this portion to me is always interesting. I've liked this in both episodes so far, where they have to come back from the journey and decide, am I going to tell the truth or not? And so Camilla comes back to Siva, and she's honest about what happened, because Mitch was. She says she's trying to pattern her game after him, be honest with her tribe, curry favor. And Mitch gives a very good face play reaction. It was not my face play of the game, however. something later was. But everybody's happy for her. And my question is, when does she get to use this extra vote that she won?
She can use it anytime she wants to. I think maybe up to final 5. I don't know about the extra vote because it's not something that a lot of people get.
Yeah, it seems so powerful.
It's very powerful, right? And the smaller the number, the more powerful it is, right? But can I just, what a moron. Why would you tell people?
I thought that too.
Joking. Do you feel that solid in your game that this is not going to give you a target? It would be so easy to say I lost. It was a game of chance, bitches. Yes. Of course I rolled all skulls the first try.
But on the flip side of that, this was an error, I thought, but it wasn't my error of the game, because the flip side is you can say something else as well. And I wondered, like, if they're just making shit up, can you come back and be like, oh yeah, I won. I got a new Ferrari and they gave me $1 million. Like, can you just say anything?
Yeah, you can say whatever you want. You know, it's the same as you can follow whoever you want around idol hunting. There are no rules. Yeah. This is Survivor. You can hunt anyone. Yeah, she could have said, oh, wow, Dodge is sponsoring this season and I just got a caravan.
I won an Applebee's. I'm now a general manager of Applebee's.
Yes.
Battle Creek, Michigan.
Right.
All right.
Liz Wilcox was there.
Yeah. So Bianca comes back to Loggy. She does lie. She says she didn't do the challenge at all. She walked away from it because it was too hard and she didn't want to give up her vote. And then she ITMs that she doesn't trust anyone in her life or in the game. But then she goes off because you got to trust somebody. And she tells Thomas the truth about the loss of her vote. And he's like, she's scary because she's good at deception. But he ITMs, he likes that she confided in him, but he may use it against her later. So we see that he's kind of playing the game a little bit. And then we see Justin comes back. I loved Justin. He's the long-haired guy who's always talking about restaurants and pizza, and he tells them the truth. This is insane. He tells them that he lost the challenge, but he makes up, or no, I'm sorry, he doesn't tell them the truth. He tells them a lie, but it's a weird lie. He makes up a different game that wasn't actually played about white and red ? Dice, and he says that he won, and it was either comfort, shelter, or food. They'll find out tomorrow. And this lie was my error of the game. Why didn't he come back and say, I have 2 votes?
I don't know. I actually thought it was kind of smart. Because granted, we know the ending now, but he doesn't know the ending. He probably feels like his name isn't out there.
Right.
And so he can kind of skate by and, deal with the consequences tomorrow. Or maybe nobody will notice because maybe Mary will play her shot in the dark and everybody's just kind of whatever. But I guess maybe you're right, because in that small tribe, Cedric, at least he wants to remain loyal to him. He should have told him the truth. But at the end of the day, like Bianca said, who can you trust on Survivor? And so he's probably like, I don't want it to be me because I don't have a vote.
But I feel like he could have swayed all the other votes. If you come back and you basically say, like, I am super powered now for the victory was this for one tribal council for tonight only, I get 2 votes. You have to vote with me. Yeah,
you're right. I'm wrong.
No, I don't know. I mean, this is all conjecture. This is like talking about sports, obviously. Who knows?
Yeah, no,
I'm morning quarterback it, but
no, that would have been a much better play. I think I just liked it because it was creative, and I'm so tired of people not being creative.
Yeah,
I'm so tired of people. Oh, Camilla, and I say it with love. I know what it's like to be on a TV show. Okay, that was me a year ago. Everyone judging me. But I got 2 votes, and then she pulls the damn thing out, and I'm like, what the, so I think more so I liked that he just tried something different, and it was a callback to, they have done things like that. I think it was season 41 or 42 where people went on like these mysterious journeys and they could win things for their tribe or for themselves. So it was a very believable lie because it was like, oh yeah, they did that like 5 years ago. Cool. They're bringing it back, So I think that's why I liked it, but you're making a lot of sense.
Listen, I will never play Survivor. Living on an island for 26 days is my literal hell. So we then see Cedric, Say, Mary, and Justin are all kind of doing this interweaving of alliances and who's on whose side. And we kind of get the idea that it's either going to be Mary or Justin, that's going to have to get voted for. But Mary might have an idol and she might play her shot in the dark. And they don't really know what's going on. And of course, we always go into tribal council with that. We are meant to not know. Tribal council begins. And Dark Lord Jeff sits down with this devil smile on his face, glinting in the firelight. Hello, everyone. Let me gauge. Are you closer to somber and resigned or more on edge and uncertain? So it's both all negative things that he's saying here. It's like, right. Are you accepting your death or are you nervous about your death?
Right. Do you want to jump off a cliff or a bridge?
Yeah, exactly. And it's just like, I love that in Survivor Big Brother, any open gameplay game, I think the host gets that leeway to be actively happy about the demise of these players.
Yeah.
In the love shows, you have to kind of hide it and pretend like, oh, I'm so sorry you got your heart broken. But you can see behind the smile is like, I feast on your pain. But Probst here, Dark Lord Jeff just does it in the open. I love it. So we see this this wild tribal council. It's like Cedric is talking about how he's despondent. His team needs a shot of adrenaline. Say says the entire group hasn't come together yet. Mary says it's because there's not a we. There is no group. Dark Lord Jeff is like, does the group matter? I hear you saying not really. And Mary's like, well, it's hard to feel like a group when everyone wants you out. And Say's like, yeah, there's no safety net. Say says, you can't. She trusted Kevin and he found out Kevin was working with you. And then Say once again, in this moment, delivers my
face play of the game.
Full eye aperture, side eye roll, for emphasis on this thing that's like, I can't trust anybody. Her face play is off the charts. She's so far the face player of the season, in my humble opinion.
Well, you should watch my season.
You delivered some fantastic face plays in the highlights reel I saw. I was like, oh shit. It was like Carolyn level, in my opinion.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. DL Jeff then gives us a glimpse into his sadistic madness as he flashes this toothy smile in the firelight and says, imagine you two in a 2-seater on a road trip. He's delivering his strange fantasies to see these players fighting each other on a road trip.
It was good TV. I was like, yeah, I want to see that. Put a camera in that car.
I mean, he's literally teeing up a possible duo for the next season of Amazing Race, in my opinion.
Period.
Then Say says she's had the most fun chasing Mary around the jungle. It felt diabolical and insane. They didn't understand. They understand, they can't work with one another, but they both respect each other's gameplay. And I thought that was kind of a nice little moment. They're saying game recognizes game. Yes, I know I was literally hunting you in the jungle, but I had fun doing it. And then Dark Lord Jeff asked if the guys have talked about voting out Say and Mary, and Justin is like, well, there's no real game plan. We'll just have to wait and see what happens. And Say calls him out immediately, like, that's the most bullshit Survivor answer you can give at Tribal Council. I thought that was pretty funny.
That was funny. It was a great tribal, and I had a similar experience with Maria. We were always like, why aren't we working together? And it's like, well, you're doing this and I'm doing that. And we're just two ships passing in the night. Mm-hmm. And we even said at her final 5, she left at final 5. And we were like, Amazing Race.
I mean, put it out there.
Yeah. So I loved it. I loved seeing the respect there. You know, what we talked about maybe 20, 30 minutes ago. You know, there's a level of respect there. Mm-hmm. But it's like, you just kiss. I just want you, I just want you guys to like work it out because, these men around you are pinning you, or are at least benefiting. It's advantageous for you guys to keep fighting, and because these men are like in the power position.
Yeah. I mean, I was shocked by what happened next. I did not see this coming. I wrote this down. I don't know what this is. She's talking about Mary swimming around and not knowing if she has the idol, and the guy, she couldn't trust the guys in her tribe because they got her to misuse her idol basically the night before. And Dark Lord Jeff crinkles up this smile like he's eating a steak. It's like, this is delicious to him.
Yeah.
This is what he lives off of.
Yes.
Then Mary says she thinks all votes are going to be cast for her, and then we'll see what happens next. And I was like, she's playing it a little too hard that she has the idol, just a little bit. I think that let everybody know. But DL Jeff says he can't remember when he's ever had to interrupt a tribal council, but he has to do it now. We must vote. And we see no votes, but Jeff comes back to do the tally. And he asks anybody if they want to play their advantage or an idol. And Mary raises her hand, is like, I knew it. And she plays her shot in the dark, and it works.
Ooh, that was so fun. I literally stood up off my couch. I was like, yes, because I was like, please be safe. And just because the drama, right? Like, who wants a predictable vote out? I was like, yes, please, 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 please. My daughter was like, would you shut up? I'm like, go, safe.
But it like boils down again to just arbitrary luck. She had what is 1 in 6? It's like 17% chance or something like that, 17 or 18.
Yeah. I don't know. But yeah, it was just pure luck, which I love that she remained calm the whole time, because I mean, not to get too woo-woo, I feel like that was giving manifestation vibes of like, we'll see what happens, you know, and then it was like, safe, babe. You live to tell another tale or whatever. So I loved it. I thought it was so juicy. There's only been 2 polls. I think this is the 3rd poll of safe. So, I mean, it's 1 in 6. So it's low odds. So usually it's not safe. I think it happened once in a like season 42 or something. The person was safe on the first tribal council. It happened in season 45 at like a very pivotal vote. And it was like, whoa, oh my God. Everyone at tribal was out of their seats. Like, no way. Because all the votes were on this one guy and he was safe. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to ask, when you go into tribal council, I assume at that moment they hand you all your shots in the dark.
No, you have it with you the whole time. So you might not bring it to tribal, right? Like if you forget your bag or it drops out, like you have to have it on your person.
So do you read it? Do you know if it says safe or not safe?
Oh, I'm sorry. So you have a shot in the dark. It's like a die.
Oh, okay.
And you, instead of casting your vote, you drop the die into this like shot in the dark thing.
But
and you don't cast a vote.
At least on the last episode when Stephanie played it, she walked up and handed Dark Lord Jeff a scroll. So when
I didn't play my shot in the dark, but you drop the die in and then you like reach in and you just pick out the little scroll piece of paper.
Okay.
So
and then you bring it back to tribal council and you're sitting there.
Right. And you bring it in your pocket or whatever. Yeah.
There's no way to cheat that system to find one that says safe.
No, because what you don't see when you're voting is, the camera's right here, but there are 3 dudes, like 3 to 5 dudes just staring, holding the camera, making sure you don't do anything shady, I'm assuming. Right. And they're and you have to say out loud, like, you write it down.
Who you're voting for or whatever, yeah.
And you have to say, like, well, I'm voting for Chad because I don't like gingers, right?
What?
Actually, I love a ginger. I've only ever dated gingers, and that's the truth. And that's the tea. And so you have to hold it out so the camera can see. You have to verbally say who you're voting for.
Yeah.
Fold it in half and put it in the urn. So I assume with your die, your shot in the dark, you have to put it in there. Then there's another urn, I guess. I can't remember. And you pull out just one little scroll and, walk away.
Okay. I'm always looking for ways to cheat these games or to manipulate the systems, as it were.
Dude, I freaking wish, bro. Survivor. I mean, after 40 something seasons, like they're watching. There
are weaknesses in the game, though. I already, like I said, I have taken a 46 season hiatus from the show. 3 episodes in, I'm already like, why not this? Why not this? Why not this? I think there are exploitations in the mechanics of this game that they're just not doing. And maybe that is because like it's not possible to do with the 3 dudes standing there watching you or whatever. I don't know. But I'm getting more into it. I'm getting my feet wet back in this game specifically. I'll see what I can do. At any rate, we see here Mary gets all the votes, and there are only 2. It's we know that it's Say and Cedric. Justin doesn't have a vote, and Mary didn't vote because she played her shot in the dark. But none of those votes count because her shot in the dark was safe. So now what do? We got to vote again. Everybody votes again. But again, there's only 2 votes. Cedric votes for Say votes for Justin. It's a tiebreaker. You got to vote again. It happens the same way again. And then Dark Lord Jeff comes out and says, because of the math of this weird situation, Justin has no vote. Mary has no vote. You can't vote for yourself, I think it was, or you have to vote for either Say or Justin. Say is not going to vote for herself, obviously. So it's up to Cedric. He gets to basically decide who goes home. And Dark Lord Jeff says, and if you can't decide, you go home. I was like, well, I think he could probably decide. And so in an act that completely blew my mind, he asks Say, can you promise me you'll bury the hatchet with Mary and come together as a team? And even Justin at that time seems like he's already on, like he's okay with leaving. He's like, whatever happens, bro, make sure you come to Luigi's.
Bump that. This is one of the things I really can't stand about the new era is this complacency of even Mary was annoying me a little bit. I mean, I understand the strategy of keeping calm, and that was something but whatever, if it's my time, it's my time. Girl, you're not in the hospital bed, stroke after stroke. You ain't dying of cancer and you're ready to give up. Like,
exactly.
You're not a dog on his last leg. Like, what are you talking about, Justin? Like, I could not believe he said that.
I couldn't either. It was almost my error of the game had he not missed that opportunity, I think, to take complete control of this and get rid of whoever he wanted. But what does happen is Say takes the opportunity to plead with Cedric, saying, Justin lied to you about who he was going to vote for. You can't trust him. And she's like, I understand that you have to be like loyal to your first connection or whatever, but she pulls tears. She starts crying and starts appealing to his emotions. He doesn't deserve to be here. He broke your trust. I've done nothing but tell you the truth the whole time. And her crying, what we call a 4TRR or for the right reasons tear play, was my play of the game. It literally saved her. It
definitely saved her.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, whether the tears were forced or real, that's the kind of gameplay I want to see.
100%.
Like where you're, I don't know if desperate is the right word, but like you're playing to play and you are not laying down.
Yes.
Right? You are like balls to the wall. Oh, my back. Oh, there's the wall and my back. Oh shit. I better figure, I'm coming out clawing. That's one thing I like about Say is, she's playing really hard and she was not about to just lie down where, Justin, we saw the complete like juxtaposition of that of like, come to Luigi's. It's like, okay, Mario, get the fuck out of here.
He came into the game talking about pizza and his restaurant, and he left the game talking about pizza and his restaurant. And I guess we'll see some social media pop up with Cedric eating a slice.
Save me a slice, bro. Yeah. You got any gluten-free?
But that is it. We say goodbye to our pizza player, Justin. He came in with that pizza. He left with that pizza. Dark Lord Jeff puts out his flame with the turtle, and the 3-member tribe Vula slinks back to their camp by cover of night. 3 people left in that tribe. And then we get our teaser for next week. It basically is it's not a merger. They're just going to shuffle up the teams, right?
Yeah, they must be doing a, drop your buffs, tribe swap, which I love. And I personally would love to see 2 tribes, but I know that's probably, maybe I'll get a chance to play again. Yeah, right. So we're probably going to get 3 tribes again. So yeah, I think it'll be interesting. And that was one thing I was like, when Cedric said, say, promise me we're all going to get along. I was like, homie, you ain't going to have to play with either one of these anytime soon. You're probably going to get a tribe swap, or, if you lose again, you could just vote, like, keep Justin and vote Mary out. That way you got a good duo, because Say is going to leave your ass at the merge, sir.
Absolutely.
And so is Mary. Like there's no loyalty with these women, and Justin would have felt guilty. Like, oh yeah, I did lie to you, but you saved me. Now we're for real, right? So bad move for Cedric, great move for Say. We'll see what happens in the tribe swap. Those are always really fun and interesting, and just what we need, I think, to switch up this game at this point.
Yeah, I agree. I couldn't believe what Cedric did either. And maybe that would have been my error of the game, I guess. It probably should have been. It's a bigger error, because I agree with everything you're saying. Keeping somebody like Say in the game is only going to bite you in the ass. Keeping somebody like Justin in the game, he could have been really loyal to you. He doesn't seem like he's a hardcore player one way or another. So he can just kind of float around and be an added vote to whichever way you're trying to position him. And you don't have to worry about him literally hunting you in the jungle while you're trying to find an idol, I don't think.
Right. Don't get the right. I mean, maybe Justin's not a pawn, but maybe he's, just like a rook or a bishop, where, Say has very clearly shown that, she has a lot more moves in her. Yes. She can move around the board a lot more agile than the rest of them.
Absolutely. And that is why Say was my MVP. She played a game, and she really has from the very beginning. She's a little aggressive, I think. It goes against kind of what you were saying earlier, Liz, about you got to hang in the cut, at least in the beginning episodes, in the beginning days, and try not to like present yourself as a leader of anything or like overstep your bounds. I think she is doing that, but she's so far successful at it. And now that they're going to reshuffle the tribes, it's like whatever ill will she might have built with the remaining players, I guess there's only 2, Mary and Cedric of Vula. It's like she can kind of skate from that. It's not really going to potentially affect her until maybe a final vote,
Yeah, I think Say is playing hard, and what is saving her is that she's also being honest. She went to enough people with her cryptogram and asked for help. And that shows, especially this small woman going up to these larger men, I need your help. That shows vulnerability. She went up to the right people. She must have read their egos correctly, that they were like, oh, she needs me. Cool. She's in my pocket, whatever. So that helped her, be able to be herself, which is this more aggressive player. So kudos to her.
No, totally. I was sincerely blown away by that 4TR tier play, because like that is what worked on him. She just cut right through all the bullshit and was like, look, I'm crying. I'm being honest with you. And he was like, you're right. I'll get rid of my best friend as long as we can still eat pizza together, bro. And that's like all that mattered.
Can we get along, ladies? Can I have some pizza? I'm like, Cedric is a simple bro. I respect it. I do.
Me too. Well, thank you, Liz, so much for joining me for this recap. Please tell everybody where they can listen to your podcast, where they should be following you on social media, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, sure. So I'm not very active on social media because the trolls be trolling. But if you are interested, if you are like Chad and you're a content creator, you have your own podcast, or you're trying to, create your own YouTube show or something like that, I do actually help people make money online. So you can listen to my podcast, the Email Sound Booth podcast, available on all platforms. I'd love for you to check it out. Or if you want to go directly to my website, lizwilcox.com, you can hit the hot pink button and download some things to get you started.
Fantastic. Well, thank you again for joining me, and I'll be back next week to recap episode 4.
Please rate this podcast. Please review this podcast. Please get a friend to listen to us, and then please rate this podcast. Please review this podcast.